And I want to ask you about William Timmons. He's the man John McCain has named to head his presidential transition team. We now know that Timmons helped a lobbying effort on behalf of Saddam Hussein in the mid-1990s at a time when the Iraqi dictator wanted to ease sanctions against his regime. Why doesn't that disqualify Timmons from being part of the McCain campaign?
You know, I'm actually not too familiar with his history, but what I do know is that, you know, throughout our campaign, and we've talked about this a lot, we've had no associations with any lobbyist on our campaign, and I think that there's questionable associations with Barack Obama that needs to be addressed before we even get into discussing the transition. We need to make sure.
Wait a second. So you have no association with Charlie Black? I mean, he's a lobbyist. He was apparently lobbying from the senator's bus. Go ahead.
David, let's get back to the question here. Before we talk about a transition team, let's talk about electing the next president. And I think that we need the next 20 days before we begin, you know, dissecting the transition point here. I think John McCain has a record of dealing with those in Washington and taking on special interests. So, you know, I don't think that his credibility is at stake here. I think that John McCain, you know, is going to. Let me just take here. We need the next 20 days before we even begin discussing the transition.
Okay, fair enough.